Hello and happy Saturday, everyone. And so we are back for week 36 in our 52-week challenge, or 365 days in the life of a journal. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, time is moving by and by. Can you imagine we're like moving into the last quarter of the year? Boy, it seems like it's just moved so fast. So anyway, lots going on today. So let's first deal with what our prompt is. So our prompt today and for this coming week is totems as creative symbolism. So I have a little story to share here with you. As I reflect upon last week's journal prompt on hibernation, I find myself thinking a lot about bears and the common sense this species has adapted to go into long sleep during the cold months of the year. I have often felt a natural desire to hibernate for weeks at a time during the cold, dark season as well. And even moving into this season, as I move out of, I'm in Arizona and it's still summer here. But, like I've already kind of started this feeling of hibernation, and maybe it's just overexposure to everything that's been going on in the world. You just feel like you want to retreat, and just hibernate. And I think it's a natural inclination just to kind of reset yourself and restore yourself and what have you. So it just seems so appropriate. This line of thinking caused me to remember a totem animal I had received 10 years ago out of a process I had read about while I was going through an emotional clearing at the end of my marriage. This animal was a giraffe. A giraffe, I mumbled. I remember when I went through this whole session and then the animal that came up was a giraffe. I thought, a giraffe? A giraffe. I thought, not the sexiest animal, right? I would never thought. When people when you start doing things that find like your totem or whatever, we always kind of have some other kind of vision of what we think it would be. So I had to smile to myself because I also was not one of those people to identify with animals, nor have I ever thought about a need for a totem animal. So, it was just one of those processes you stumble across and you start listening. And this guy started dialoguing and it was really intriguing. And he just kept on going on and then he shared a process. And before I knew, I was kind of like on this journey to this totem animal. But I was in a place of renewal and discovering new places to explore in my emotional world and creative mind. So I accepted the possibility of learning something new about myself from this animal. I discovered many things about giraffes that I never knew, to the point that I went out and bought a small carved symbol of a giraffe and placed it on my side table to ponder nightly. I must say that I went through immense revelations at this time of my life, and as a result, opened myself to look more closely at common and maybe seemingly unrelated connections that can spur my creative mind. I wanted to not only share with you the incredible totem symbols that animals can conjure, but flowers and trees, numbers, colors, crystals, all these things as well. Just to name a few of them. You probably are thinking of others, like as I'm talking. Totems can often encourage our creative selves to want to paint. Let's say pansies. Over and over and over again. I had a girlfriend that just loved pansies and she couldn't have enough pansy paintings. And like in my own art, the circle, I can paint a circle over and over and over and over and over again. And I never get tired of painting a circle because every circle looks different to me than any circle I've ever created. So it's like always new. And I've even, questioned my own motivation for this obsession. And yet I have gained so many revelations that have progressed my art as a result of having given part of my creative self to the circle. I asked you to ponder this week about your own totem symbols. You may already have something but never thought about it in the way I'm proposing. So until I really kind of went through, connected with this totem symbol of the animal, of the giraffe, and then kind of went down that process, I never thought about my love of circles, of Inzu, is a totem, but it came to me like, yeah, this is like a totem for me. So you might think outside the box a little bit about what that may look like in your own work. You may already have something, but never thought about it in the way I'm proposing. If you don't already have symbolism that is that is your go-to image, I invite you to consider this idea and open yourself to the possibility of inviting your own totem symbols into your creative work time. As always, play and have fun this week. And so one of the things you can do, and I often suggest this, is just spend some time and go back and look at all of your previous work. You know, you can flip through your journal. You can just look at some of your other work and things that you've done, and see where the common themes are. How many times do certain symbols or shapes or flowers or animals or whatever it is that you depict, how many times does it come up for you? And then generally the one that comes up the most is some sort of totem for you. It's something that you connect with on a psychological level, an emotional level, that really fuels your work. And so ponder that then and see what comes up for you. But it really is a fun process to sort of think about it like that, because then what you do, you'll celebrate these images and this iconography in a way that maybe you hadn't celebrated before, thinking of it like that. So have fun. And in the meantime, we are going to flip through this week's journal. So I just did some intuitive collaging. So you guys saw this one from last week. So because we had done all of the collages and stuff on tags, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed that. So many of you reached out and said how much fun you had with that. And you too had a hard time throwing those kind of things away. Excuse me. So I decided just to do some intuitive collage with some jelly printing on it. So like this is using my stencil. These are just bits and pieces of stained papers and rusted papers and stuff like that I've just kind of glued on. This is just a napkin. I like the way that looks. So I did some jelly printing after I glued these pretty much just stained papers down to sort of look old. And I came back and did some glazing and some jelly printing on them. So I like this particular technique of jelly printing right onto the pages. I just think it just has an old world look to it. I just love that. So that's where we are with that. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. On to the next. I was going to say it's time to go to the table, but let me show you this month's printables. Now, this month's printables is dear to my heart because you probably wouldn't even think that this is my work, like that I even work like this, but I do, because one of my favorite things to do has always been to create. I'm going to show you something here. I love doing, flowers and stuff like that, but my flowers have always been quirky. From the time I was a little girl, I could not draw a flower like everyone else. As much as I can sit down and I can just about, I'm not the most skilled illustrator, but I can sit down and draw just about anything I see. But for some reason, when I would draw flowers, my flowers would always come out like a little quirky, just like not like beautiful flowers, you know what I mean? And I always just thought, what's wrong with you? Why do you always make these little quirky flowers? Until I came across the Voynich manuscript a number of years ago. And this book is full of quirky flowers. So I just really drew some inspiration from the flowers in the manuscript. And so really just did some paintings this week around the Voynich, and it has this amazingly mystical kind of scripting that hasn't been deciphered yet. And this manuscript is hundreds of years old, and I know for the last 100 or more years or so they've been trying to decipher it, but they have not come close to telling you what any of this means. They've been able to break down a few of the words, but like my flowers always look like this. And so it was like a kindred thing for me. And the fact that it was on an old manuscript and had like this intuitive scripting and these flowers. So you can see how this was after my own heart, this style. So this month, I teamed up with my project manager, Eva, who is an author in her own right, and she wrote the book Harlot of Alonia, and it's in the bestseller list, and she's this month wanting to move into the top 100 fantasy category, and she's moving up, and already since I released these yesterday, we released this collaboration packet of printables. Today, this morning, she said she went from the top 3,000 to the top 1,000 right now in a day's time, just because this community reached out and supported one of our own in her own journey. And I'm just like already overwhelmed that that happened. But so what happens is this month's printables, it's kind of like me sharing with you my vision of the Voynich manuscripts with my scripting that is my interpretation of that style. I just love that sort of feel to it. So these are images that have been painted on old book pages that I gessoed out. So I think this was a book from like the 1800s. And I gessoed out the center and then painted these flowers in the land of Eraska, which is where Harlot of Alonia lives. And it's just like this fantasy, but it's like these old kind of botanical kinds of things. And you guys know I've been studying herbalism. And so it just all fits in. And so then on here are some of so I also did this size so that they can make great tags, tuck cards. I'll show you how I did this one here, this process. We're going to play with that process. And it's just on regular old copy paper. And then here's some of the text. So lots of just new text that you can rip up and tear up and use in your work, and you can use it any kind of way. Also, there are some book pages. So I have larger sheets of these, but I did the smaller ones because it's easy if you wanted to just do the same thing. If you wanted to white them out, do your own paintings on them. If you just want some book pages because you're running out. This one is from the History of England. And you just wanted some new pages. I thought these were unique because they have this box around them all. These are some of my stained papers. So I did sort of a lighter version of stained papers because I think it's easier to sort of paint and over these and use these. And I kind of created this sort of floral kind of leaf pattern. And then these are some of the smaller text so that you have the font in all different sizes. And then I put some of the vintage book pages in here, larger size, so that you know, you can use these or even anything else. I know sometimes it's hard to come across vintage pages. And then these are some larger pages of my coffee stained papers. Some really beautiful kind of lacing patterns. So, and this one. So there are 19 pages in here. So it's a lot of stuff in here that you can do a lot of different things with. But I tried to make it such that it could sort of be like an herbarium where, you know, you just have old pages, old papers. You can play around with flowers or whatever your other totems that come up for you. Maybe kind of thinking of it in a similar kind of style. But the other thing is that for... they're $6 as they always are, but when you sign up for this, you will also get a link to be able to download the Kindle version of Eva's book, Harlot of Alonia. And please, 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 if you're at all inclined to buy the printables this month, you're supporting an incredible artist who has 2 more books in the works in this series, and she's already won a number of awards and have been written up in various magazines, and would you contribute to putting her in the top 100. So simply, once you purchase the printables, they'll download as normal, and a percentage of the printables I'm sending to Kindle to cover your download of the book. So even if you don't plan on reading it, just go and download it, because the download counts for, you know, towards, you know, her ranking, and then it's there and you can read it, you know, as you go. So anyway, thanks so much. And you guys have already, you know, in the community have just jumped in and just pushed her so far up. It's just amazing. I just love it when we support one another. And then in the meantime, we're going to come down to the table and I'm going to show you how we can turn this, you know, just a regular old piece of copier paper into something that looks, has more of an old world look to it. And that, you know, like in this case, I used it and did a collage on an old book board and I really love it. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, so we are back. So what you'll need is a piece of wax paper, deli paper, wax paper, anything like that. One of these little tea light candles, you know, you can get a pack of 12 of them at the dollar store. So little tea light candle, a pair of scissors, something to scrape the wax with. You'll need a heat gun or an iron. You can just iron it. You can put a piece, once you do the wax paper, you can just put a piece of waste paper over top of it, like copy paper or something, just so the wax paper doesn't melt on the iron. And then you can just iron it and it'll melt it. So you don't have to have a heat gun. And I'm going to use rubber stamps. I'm going to use some pumice stone. It's just because I like this color when I'm doing this technique. But you can use any variation of this that you have. I'm going to use paintbrush with a little bit of, use some paint here, like use the black smoke, which is in Tim Holtz Distress. When I'm doing this technique, because I want to age this and then make it translucent, so it just has this old world texture to it. It holds up beautifully too, but it also is, it just really changes the texture. Kind of gives it an encaustic wax kind of look to it, but this is just a really easy way of getting to that. Paintbrush, I'm going to do some splattering, a little bit of splattering. So I think that's all you're going to need. Maybe I'll think of something else as I go, but let's just get started. So here, these are already cut up. Here's one that I've already done. So you see this really translucent, you know, you can sort of see through it. Like if you hold it a certain kind of way, you can see how it's translucent. So one of the things you can do is, in this case, we can kind of really give it a botanical feel. So just kind of reach in, get some of your labels. Let's see, what do I have here? So I can kind of put that there. So I like to go ahead and glue the labels on before you get started, because in that way everything is kind of caught up in the wax itself. I don't want to overdo the label thing. Let's just put one of those there. Let me see. Kind of have to find the small ones for this. Oh, that's perfect, because these cards are smaller, but you can use these as looking at this tag right here. I think I'll just do this while we're at it, so you can see how just any kind of random thing we can use, and this can be used in the collage. Okay, so what I like to do is, oh, let's get some text also real quick. Where's the one? Because it'll be nice to do one of these too so you can see how the text looks. So we'll just okay. I love doing this. It's like I do encaustic wax as well, but this is just a very easy way to get some similar results without, you know, the expense and everything of encaustics. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this cleaned up here. And we should have enough time for me to do sort of like an intuitive collage with it. Okay, so we have these. Alrighty. Now let me get, this is a Tim Holtz stamps. This one is Ledger Script. Ledger Script, you can't see through the thing, but Ledger Script CMS241. So what I like to do is just get a bit of this pumice stone, and then I kind of just will find a place that to stamp it. So just kind of getting a little bit of it there, you see, on the side there. So, and I don't like to overdo it. So maybe just a little bit down there, because you don't want to over stamp it. And then the same thing here. And I like to just grab a different part of the stamp. Okay. So we got this different bit here. So put that there. And then a little something across the top. Okay. And here, since this is like a label, we'll just go across the whole front of it as if, you know, it's been printed with something. Now this pumice is very, very light. It's just a really light gray. But I like that because to me, when in this process, it just looks just more distressed and not, you can see it here. Inking it will cause it to, you can see it more, but it's still very subtle. It's not just popping in your face scripting. Okay, so we're going to, that one went there, this one went here. Okay, so let me go ahead and glue this up. And you can do as much or as little to these before you do the wax process. I just find anything you want to stick on, just go ahead and do it now. Okay. Put that there. Okay, so seems like I can put something else on this. I've seen something before that looks like it'll go. Oh, this is that right there. So of course I'm not going to spend a lot of time decorating these, but you all know the drill. Okay, so kind of get this a little straighter, a little bit of white edge there. We don't want that. Okay. Alrighty. So this I'm just going to leave plain because we're going to do that transform. Now, let's get a little bit, what I like to do is get a little bit of flecking on here because it will just kind of give like some age spots and stuff like that. It'll just kind of give it a little bit of, I think what I'll do is I can use the hickory, I'll use both. So I'll take a little bit of the stamp pad there and then using some water, just water on the brush, and then just really get this pretty wet. And you know, you just kind of take your fingers and just splatter it. And then we'll take a little bit of a little darker gray, which is, this is hickory smoke. Same thing. And then just again, just some light flickers. I'll even put some on here because they'll make a difference for sure. You know, it just kind of gives it that look of sort of little mildew, and you know how things age. So we just kind of get these little spots in them, you can see. So yeah, it's just like real misty, not too much. And I'm going to go ahead and just get my heat gun out real quick, so pardon the noise. Just a nice way to age it. Okay. So like I said, you can put all other kinds of scraps and different things on here. I'm just going to reach up here real quick and see if there's anything else I want to put on. Generally what I look for is something that is, well, I like this little aged piece of something, whatever that is. Because I want these to really come across as sort of old and vintagey. I'm going to want to find stuff that's sort of like a little translucent. Maybe I have some text in here. I don't know. That could be good. I should have something on. This is my scrap box. Thinking I have. Generally, I have a piece of onion skin floating around with some text on it, but of course, when I don't want it, it's all in my face, and when I do want it, it's nowhere to be found. Pull this piece out. Oh well. We won't worry about it. You get the idea. Oh, see? As soon as I was giving up, here's something right there. Okay. Any amount of trying to think where I want to put this. Let me just go ahead and rip a bit of this off. And let's just see. Almost kind of want sort of keep sort of like straight lines or something, just to kind of give it more of a sort of a stamp or a gridded look. Yeah, and this is translucent, so we'll be able to see through it. Okay, so we'll put this down. Let me get my glue. And then some of this that we've used before, the tissue paper, you know, that we've done the staining on. I might put a piece of that down. All of this is basically going to go pretty translucent. But the thinner, like the base structure that we're using here is actually just let me see how I want to do this. Is just copy paper. Nothing special, just regular old copy paper. And this will actually definitely go translucent. So anything you build up, any layers you build up, just all the better. I think I'm gonna just, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tack this off the bottom of it, and it'll just extend a bit of the I'll just give this whole piece down here an organic edge at the bottom. Kind of give it an old page look, and then we can still, that'll all get waxed. So just kind of like having it random like that. And that just changes the edge of the page. So we'll do some like that. Maybe we'll do a same. I like that. Let's do something similar here. Let's put that little piece across the bottom. For some reason I like this. I like that look. Because all of these, my goal is for them just to all have sort of this age look anyhow. That's what I'm going for. So taking something that we just printed out, you know, today and trying to give it a more old world appeal. So let's see. So these are ready. We're going to do this one like this. This one's ready. And I think I'm going to just go here while we're doing stuff, because when you're doing this, it's nice to get other pieces, scraps and stuff ready so that you can use them in your collage and stuff. So just, you know, pull out a number of things and just kind of have at this process. Alrighty, so we're going to work with these. So we have some of these things set up, ready to go. So now next what we want to do is take the tissue paper, I mean not the wax paper, sorry, wax paper. And there's a lot of different things. These printables will go in with a lot of the other printables you already have, and just stain papers. I just try to put a lot of different things in there that I thought lended themselves towards this whole kind of creating, you know, field notes or herbariums, you know, sort of old manuscripts with drawings of herbs. Cabinet of Curiosities, you know, that's another one of my faves. Kind of look. So I'm just scraping off some candle wax. And first we're going to do, let's just go ahead. So I kind of scrape it up and just kind of get it just a little. You can have some on the bottom, some on the top, it doesn't matter. Just kind of spread it around a bit. Fold it over. And now we're just going to heat this up. So here we have a little noise again. Turn the volume down if you're, you know, because these sounds go loud. You know how that is. Louder than what they are when you're just sitting here listening to it live. I've experienced that myself. And so you're going to see it starts melting down. It melts really quickly, so you can really And if you don't have a heat gun, or you can use a blow dryer. Blow dryer works beautifully. If you don't have that, then just put like another sheet of scrap paper down, you know, over top of it, and then iron it that way. And that'll do it too. So then what I do is I just take, like, you know, old credit card or a key card from the hotel or something, and I just really start moving the wax around. When you look in there, you can see it kind of sliding around. And then you can kind of see where some of it's already gone translucent. And then you can see where to hold the heat tool, because it'll be like a little bit more opaque, and then you just kind of hold it there until it kind of goes clear. Okay, so remove it. See, you got this beautiful translucent. Can already see the difference between the two. This is just gone waxy and nice. And then what I like to do is take the credit card or key card, whatever you're using. I always save these from the hotels. And then you can just literally scrape. Now you see here on the back, so we could use a little bit more. There, so just, I like to get it all melted, because you just get more of a true okay. Okay, so that is. And I just will scrape the rest of it off, because a lot of it's already going to be melted. And you'll see that it'll kind of be like a little uneven surface. So scraping it like this really does get the surface more even, and you're actually pulling wax off, because there's wax here on the card. So I just kind of scrape it back onto the wax paper. We can use it again. Okay, so that's one of them. Already done, and I mean, it just becomes this whole other ball game. And then they're nice crumpled too, so I'll show you that. So let's go ahead and do this text so you can see this. And then we'll make a collage in our journal. How about that? Good place for it. Okay. And you could put a couple, like if you have enough space, you can get a few of them in here. No law against that. Just make sure you have enough wax. Here again, this is another one of those things you can do when you're looking at a movie, you know, listen to a, you know, Kindle book, or even Harlot of Alonia. How about that? Eva's book. Such a great story. So, I've got a little top exposed there, so I'll just cover that up. So this is another mindless kind of project that you can just do and just get a lot of papers prepared like this, because they really are great in collaging. And you know, so many of us, you know, it's like just getting onion skin any longer, and at the cost of onion skin, this is another way of kind of creating that kind of surface. You want to kind of keep it moving too, so that, you know, You don't burn anything. Okay, so once again, open it up. Spread this around. And all this stuff, I'm sure you already have. Wax paper, and it can be any candle. I mean, you want it to be a white candle. You don't want it to be one that will put color on it, but maybe you do. Maybe you have a color candle that you'd want to use it on. Nothing wrong with that. So I really like to scrape it because, see, I'm getting a lot of wax off. You can see on the card there. Let's go ahead and get some more. As you see on the back, it didn't go all the way through. So I like to flip it over and finish it. Okay. This one finished up nicely. And then you could even wrinkle it. I like crinkling it. Sort of give it an age look. Okay. This is good. I'm going to spread the wax around. Flip it over. So it's amazing. And you can also flip this over on a clean sheet of wax paper when you're cleaning it so that you don't pick up more wax. But you can see how it just gets, it's just really, just gets such a good texture to it. I love it. So then you can crinkle it, and that's going to put another texture into it. And then, so I'll just kind of get a little bit more wax off. Sort of melt it again. A little bit. And yeah. So then you kind of have this really nice wrinkled surface. So you know you're getting a little bit more old going on there. And then another thing you can do before doing it is you can get pretty much the way we treated the you know, stamping and what have you. Let's take some pumice stone, and using this kind of piece, you can crinkle it a little bit, pre-crinkle it, and then using stamp pad, just kind of rub it over the crinkles. Kind of get some more high points right here. The reason why I like this pumice is because it's kind of like a blue-gray. And to me, it's that kind of gray that, because all papers don't necessarily go vintage like brown. Sometimes you kind of get that, especially in different parts of the world. I notice like when I get papers in France and places like that, they really don't have, you know, they're not as brown as they are sort of like this bluey gray kind of color. I mean, you do get some brown staining, and I'm not saying there's none, but it has a different tone to it. And I've just thought that, you know, different regions have different dirt and soil contents. And I think that more gray, clayey, limestone foundation, you know, soil content is going to create a different type of aging, because it's really the dust and the moisture that gets into documents that then is aging them, right? So just sort of think about how different areas, different regions have really different aging. So that's why everything is not like just brown. And I know a lot of people kind of just do the brown a lot, but I've discovered that I think there's some other colors that really do still give a nice age look as well. So now this was a bigger piece, so I just like to kind of move some of that, move some of it around while you're while it's still wet, so it can kind of get over everything. Okay, and then see what kind of collage we come up with. Alrighty, that should do it. Let's see. Okay. This is good. Okay, you can see that this side right here we need to get right here. Just a little bit more. And then we're done. This paper is a little thicker. This is a little thicker paper than the copier paper. So okay, so you guys get the idea. So let's look at this piece. So here again, just make sure you scrape as much off as you can. That's, you know, just, it causes it to just be less waxy. Alrighty, so put that over there. So you can see how the that pumice, see how it left like little really light gray lines behind? Just really adds this nice aging to a document. Love it. All right, so let me get my book here, our journal. And let's see what we want to do. Okay. I just love working with this. So what I want to do though is I want to put down kind of want to put something down that will sort of create a background piece. Just to kind of sort of start off getting some kind of aging going on there. Get a little bit of that. So let's put some solid paper right here. I can even use what can I use? Want some more. just a piece of brown paper. Kind of want this sort of old document look. Wait a minute. The other thing I have down here, I think, is I have some ledger paper. Hold up. Some ledger paper would be good. This is some music. This is vintage music paper, but I think down here I have some ledger paper if I can get my hands on it. Well, here it is. Let's see if something like this would work. I like the ledger paper, but I like this. I think I might put just a piece of that ledger over top of it. So I like that collage. So let's go ahead and start gluing some stuff down. I forgot to do this little one, but you can imagine what it's going to look like. You can just do all kinds of things like that. Okay, so let's start off by let's go ahead and get this down. So I'm going to use my Giotto glue stick. Need to get another one. No worries, I have one right down here underneath my desk, a whole box of them. Okay. Just trying to get this to the edge, not over. Okay. Let me get another key card that's not all. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now let's go ahead and get this on here. I'm going to use the Uhu because this paper is a little thinner, so it doesn't need the super duper Giotto. Yeah, so it instantly takes those papers from just, you know, copying out the printer to something that's aged and just has this old world sort of cabinet of curiosities kind of feel to it. Okay. Okay. So now we can take some of the Fabri-Tac, because this will put this down. Go ahead and trim this edge off. So the Fabri-Tac will adhere these papers even though there's wax, because it glues down everything from glass and wood and stone and things like that. Let's get it started. Probably time for me to get some more, although it's a good amount in here. It just is a little slow making its way to the bottom. Sometimes you have to kind of open up that hole a little more. Come on. Okay, here we are. So I'm just going to kind of go around the edges of it. I'm not going to do too much in the center because since it's transparent now, or translucent, I don't want to see a lot of glue. So I'm just going to glue around the edges. You could actually leave the top open and sort of make it a pocket if you wanted to. So I want to be able to see through without, you know. Well, this looks good. Oh, I love it. Just going to have to kind of be patient and just let it adhere. It's sticking. Yep. Cool. So now I want to put, no, this one. This is the one I did. So I want to put this down. I kind of feel like I want a little bit of ledger here. Let me just get a little bit of this. Okay, just kind of like, you know, theoretically a little place to write. Okay. So I want to put this underneath, so I'm going to put it right there. And then this can go down here. Same thing, we're going to glue this up. And let me see, I should have some kind of a little bit of fabric or something. Let's see. Let's see how this is going to play out. I don't know if it's going to rip or not. Let's just see. Oh yeah, perfect. Let's get some of this. So we'll put this down. So let's go ahead and get this in place. So same thing. I'm going to just go around the edges. And then I like to, with this style, I'm always trying to figure out how to, you know, kind of get extra textures and things that sort of look like an old record book or you know, something that's, or like a field notes or something, you know what I mean? Something that's kind of has a lot of information down about this particular page or whatever. Like I could put this piece of fabric down and then like the idea is that this plant, you know, is a plant that, you know, its leaves and its roots create a fabric. And this is what the fabric looks like, you know, that kind of thing. I just kind of fantasize on all this kind of stuff because I like all of this kind of things. Just kind of have to make sure, you know, work with a little bit to make sure it's stuck down before you walk away and do something else because, yeah, this is sticking really good. Perfect. So then we can take a piece of this, just kind of overlap. In fact, what I'm going to do, not even a lot, just a little bit of it. So, you know, it's just kind of put it down on the page like this. So let me just go ahead and so I'm going to use my Giotto, because this Giotto really holds fabric good. Just get a good coating. And then let's put this here. So just have fun. Okay. And you know, of course we could just go on and on, but we can take this number stamp thing here and then kind of put that down. So here we are. So kind of creating pages a little differently using our waxed papers, some old documents. So you can see with what we have in this packet this month, you know, you have a lot of stained papers and the vintage papers. So you'll be able to kind of use these papers if you don't have any other documents to create this sort of waxed ephemera. I waxed this and I didn't even put this in here. Let's make kind of like just like a sort of a tag or something out of this. So like an emblem. Oh, I like that. Let's see if this will stick with the Giotto. The Giotto is pretty amazing. Let's just see, since it's a smaller piece. And if it doesn't, I can always put the fabric tack on it. But this Giotto is pretty amazing. It may actually stick. Oh, I love this little piece here. That finishes it off nicely, but yet we can still see through it. You kind of try to get a little different level here so you guys can see, because my book is pretty full. So of course, like that. Okay. See how transparent it is, or translucent? Like you can literally see the layers underneath there. The brown paper, this paper, and that. And that's just from us. And then you can see the like little speckles and stuff. That's just from waxing the paper a little bit. You can create this wonderful kind of, let me see how this, oh, that's sticking. Good. This wonderful onion skin type of quality. Since it's like ridiculously expensive. Okay, I think we're done. I really like that. So this is just kind of one of those cabinet of curiosity kind of pages, sort of, you know, herbarium, sort of compendium type of style book that I like, with a little bit of ledger, the old papers, my little sweet, quirky floral drawings that are so reminiscent of the Voynich. So I think that's everything. So we kind of got a lot done there, didn't we? That's good. So hopefully that gives you some inspiration for this Saturday. in your studio, hanging out, grab yourself a candle, heat gun, or your blow dryer, and print some printables out or some other papers you already have. You can do this with jelly prints. Anything you have, just laying around. Just start waxing it and then crumple it some, because that crumpling really gives it a nice old age. I mean, like, this just looks aged. You wouldn't think that this is a piece, something that came out of a copier. It just doesn't look like it at this point. Just has a nice old world. Like, if I can put it at the angle, you can see the crinkles, and just a nice way of aging stuff. That piece is sweet without anything expensive. So if you like the video, please thumb it up. And if you're new to the community, please hit that subscribe bell and hit all, so you get all of the notifications. And once again, let's get Eva to the top 100. We can do it. We're very close. I mean, it's just only been one day, because the printables went live on Wednesday. And like the first day, she just went pushing her up, and she deserves it. And then, so everything we do is just only going to make it sweeter for her. And you get a Kindle version of her book, and you'll have, enjoy reading it. I love it. It's just such a beautiful storyline, and so timely for where we are right now too, in our sort of global world and what have you. It's really a story of a lot of connection, and I don't want to say too much, but you will enjoy it. All right, take care. Love you all, and I will see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.